I want to welcome you to this time with Mother Cathy. Cathy is a priest at St. Alban's in Boliver, and we heard about the stories of what is going on at St. Albans. There is a wonderful community in Bolivar. I got to see Mother Cathy about 2.5 years ago before I came to St. James, and it was a wonderful experience for me to know that community and came to love them. And when I met them, there were about 25 people in the congregation, and they've doubled or tripled there. How many people do attend the church now?
Well, our average Sunday attendance 3 years ago was in the 20s. The average Sunday attendance now is about 45.
So what happened? How did that happen? That's not usually what happens in a smaller community like that.
No, it's not. And there is no formula. I will tell you, we didn't do anything. I didn't do anything any differently. It had shrunk because St. Albans was started by people, early retirees in their 50s and 60s, who had moved to Missouri from other places. So their children and grandchildren weren't there. And it had not ever really been a Bolivar congregation. Mm-hmm. We're on the edge of Bolivar, and most people came from Flemington or from outside of town, Stockton, or around, or in the country. And they were great. We had a wonderful group there, but they started to die, or to become old and frail and move where their children were, which is outside of town, out of the state even. So there was some question. People thought, well, maybe we should close the church, let it go, whatever. And I thought at the time, let's just not do that. Let's just do what we do. And then, of course, there are all those programs about church growth, do this, do that, do the other thing. And I thought, I'm an old woman, I want to do all that stuff, and I'm not sure that will really help us very much. And so I didn't do any of it. We just did our thing. I know many people in town because it's a little town. I know kind of everybody. And sometimes different priests and pastors write in the newspaper in the religion section. And I used to do that like everybody else. And about 1.5 years ago, a young couple came, and we didn't make a big deal of it because that pushes people away. I think it scares people. We just welcomed them. And then another family, and then a family from Arkansas moved up who have 2 little granddaughters. And so, people just started coming. I have no idea why, in terms of what we are, except that here's what I know, that in Bolivar, we are the only liberal alternative. That is, we are the only church, I think, that works hard at being biblically serious, because I am serious about Scripture, but also socially liberal. And I'm not afraid to say that.
And I think that's the key.
I think that makes a difference, to take a side, to not say, don't ask, don't tell, but to say, no, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome, gay or straight. You are welcome, disabled or non-disabled. We make space. We make space for children. Children participate in absolutely everything. We had 10 crucifers last Sunday because we've made a bunch of little crosses, all sizes, for the kids. But we have not done any of the formula things that they say would make a difference, Joseph. We just don't do that. What we have discovered, we have found, and we have new families. Our average age now is less than 40, I would say.
That's amazing. Truly, that's amazing.
It is. Most of the old people have simply died. We have a few who are very faithful, and they're in their 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And then there's a gap between 50 and 70 of just a few people, because those would have been the children who aren't there. So we have a few of those who have come also, but a lot of them are simply young families with kids. And what they are not looking for is a bunch of programs. They are coming either from evangelical churches where they are programmed half to death, and they don't want to do that. We don't have a Sunday school during church time, and we don't keep our kids out because they want their kids with them. They want their kids to see it and learn it and do what we do. And when we do activities, we do them together, the adults and the kids, and not just the parents, but adults and kids. So that just evolved. We didn't plan that, we didn't plot that. We just responded to kids as they come. The children are wonderful with each other. They're wonderful at welcoming new people. Last Sunday, a little girl who actually was baptized at St. Albans 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, but moved to Springfield, came with her grandmother, who, for the first time in several years, she didn't know any of the other children. And they welcomed her, they handed her a cross, she was out playing with them, and she had a wonderful time. Now, I don't know why, it just happened. And I'll tell you this too, there's no guarantee it will continue.
That's correct.
And I don't worry about that.
Right.
They are the people that we have now. They've come from evangelical churches, they're biblically astute, but they're eager to hear how Scripture can be interpreted differently than the rigid ways in which they have learned it and heard it. And so we have great conversations when we do an adult class. They're very eager to talk about ethics and Scripture and history and all of that. And the other people that we have are families that have come from Roman Catholic churches where women in ministry are not acceptable, and they have daughters. They want their girls to understand that they have the same, not the same privileges, but the same responsibilities.
Correct.
To serve God as their brothers.
Right.
So that's what we have. And those are young families who have come.
Yeah.
No,
I think, the thing of it is, we are all afraid to actually go without, creating any kind of fuss about it. Just go with the flow of the people's need.
Well, and just the people who happen to come.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who bring other people.
Correct.
I don't make any big deal about it, but I do think it matters to be clear about what kind of congregation you are. I think it matters to say, we are not a conservative place. There are 20 options in Boliver, if that's what you're looking for. But we really do take very seriously issues of justice, issues of peace, issues of health care, and all those things. And we talk about them. We're not shy about that.
And everybody involved in the conversation.
Everybody's involved in the conversation. So, well, that's really what happened with this land development thing that has happened. We were reading, and we use sources from everywhere. So we were using Pope Francis's Laudato Si about care of creation as an adult class. And people began to look around at our land. We've got a couple and a half acres, and like, what can we do? What can we do with this that's better? And everybody got very involved. We have an architect, retired architect, who helped design the plan. They brought in people from the Department of Resources and natural resources and all of that. Yeah. Those people, and together people made this incredible plan. We're tripling our vegetable garden or more, which we already were using last year, not only for our people, but for anybody who wants it. That's going to be vastly expanded. And we're building a whole area of trees that will be like, 10 or 12 feet deep or more. I forget how deep it is. All the way around 3/4 of the property, with a meadow in the middle. It's going to be cleaned out and have a natural meadow again there. A labyrinth over in the side. And I didn't do anything. Not one thing, except get them to pay attention to Scripture and to Francis and to the idea that if we're going to talk about we need to care about creation, then we need to do something
about it.
Something about it. But I didn't make that plan. I had nothing to do with it. Another family came in and said, well, we need to be recycling more, and let's set up bins for this and this and this, and we'll take the scraps home to our chickens, so put food scraps here, and we need a compost bin here, and they did it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
One thing I have always said at St. Albans is, if you have a great idea, you're in charge of
Yeah.
it. Because I don't want to be in charge of everything.
That's right.
I am very protective of the liturgy.
Yeah.
I mean, I control that, no question. But I don't control anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, people are just so wonderful. We have great people. They love liturgy, but they also love Scripture. They love their background. I am not at all ready, and never have been, to trash the Protestants in our town, or to act like evangelicals are terrible people. That's simply not even true. And we certainly don't play an anti-Catholic thing, and we don't play Episcopalians are the best and the most wonderful. We just don't do that. I just don't do that. We use the gifts from the whole church to enrich each other. And as I told you a long time ago, once the young families started coming, I bought myself, not the church, copies of Gertrude Nelson's
That's what I was going to ask.
To Dance with God for every single family. And every new family who comes, I buy it for them. Because it's not a how to do it book. And, you know, Gertrude is 83 now. It's not, it was written in like 1980, I think. But the first half of it talks about ritual and liturgy, and why we tell stories, and what the story of God's interaction with humans is about, and how we celebrate that, and how we celebrate it at home. And it's a wonder. The first half is wonderful background, and then she talks about the church seasons. And we did that book for an adult class for an entire year. We started in the fall, so that we did all that first half of sort of theory, and it's very readable. It's not hard to read at all. It's wonderful. And then when December came, we started with Advent and St. Nicholas, and all of that, and then went all the way around through the year. Well, that gave people a sense of why we're even there. Why do we come together, and how do we celebrate together? Which then makes it easier for them to celebrate at home. So I just say that's the culture that we are. That's what we are about. So I just buy the books and give them to them. And if we get stuck so that we can't, for some reason we can't have service, either because of an ice storm or because of the coronavirus, I'll just say, remember, you've got your book. Look again.
True,
look and see what you can, how you can celebrate at home, and pay attention to this at home. It's just ordinary.
Right. And I think that we make it too complicated.
Yeah, I do too. It's very simple. It's very simple. We let any kid do anything they want to do. The children bring the bread and the wine. The children take up the offering. Children carry all the crosses. We have a teenager, my granddaughter Sarah, who sort of is their mistress and
leads
them, shepherds them along. But they love to do that, and if they want to walk up and stand with me when I'm celebrating, I let them. They can stand. They stand right there.
So they feel one part of one family, one community.
Yeah, I mean, it's if we had 500 people, we probably couldn't do that, but we don't have, and most of our churches don't have it. And I hate that business about children or the church of the future.
Children
are the church right now.
Right now, it's not of the future. It's today.
And what I know is, from my children and from my grandchildren, what they do every week becomes more part of them than what they hear. That's what I know. It's harder to walk away from a practice.
That's true.
Than it is from an idea. You can change your mind. You can go to university and learn all kinds of stuff, and decide that church is boring, but you're going to miss St. Nicholas Day. You're going to miss participating with adults after church at lunch, because we have lunch every Sunday. So many different
You know,
things.
that's absolutely amazing to me, though.
We just do it.
Gee, every Sunday.
Every Sunday. And so the
Yeah.
kids hang out with the adults.
Yeah.
Any adult disciplines any kid or encourages any kid.
Right.
They all know each other. You can go away and say, oh, I don't believe this stuff anymore, but you're still going to want to come
That's
home for
true.
potluck.
You're
You're
right.
still going to want to come home to eat, and you're still going to want to come home where adults are praying with you and praying for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should know that. Catholicism was like that for many, many years, families.
Mm-hmm.
Judaism is still like that.
Mm-hmm.
Your main education takes place at home, you come to celebrate. It's a mistake to try to put all the burden of formation in a congregation. It doesn't belong there. It belongs at home.
Mm-hmm.
And you celebrate it when you come together. I mean, our Mardi Gras party was a blast.
Right, saw
it
them on
was
Facebook.
wild. It was just totally wild. But we ended it
Yeah.
by bringing in
Right.
all the old palms, and we had people who had them bring them. And we, we had it was safe. We have tile floors, and
Right,
no
right.
problem. We burned it, and everybody was silent. Everybody, littlest children, would stand around or sit around, and I talked to them first about it again, about what we're doing, how we had the palms of victory, and all year we've been remembering that, and now we're entering Lent, and we're going to burn them, and they will be the ashes out of which the new life will come. And so they were very serious about it, dead silent as it burned. And then we prayed together, and everybody left in silence. And I like to clean house, so I didn't mind cleaning up after the party. But some of it I left till the next day. But I didn't want people to stay and talk and clean up. You want people to go with that. Well, the next day, I was astonished this year. We had a total of like 40 people out of our whole
congregation.
Our average attendance is 45. We had that many for Ash Wednesday over 2 services, and they brought their children, brought little kids. We had about 20 at noon and about that many in the evening. Well, no, we had 47, I think, so we had more in the evening. But they brought their children, even their babies, and the little kids wanted those ashes because they saw the story. And so what was funny was before the Mardi Gras party, before Ash Wednesday, one of the moms of a 4-year-old said, Ezra asked when we were going to burn the ashes again. But he didn't understand them when he was 3, but he remembered it. He saw it. The foot washing is very intimate with us. We have the littlest children participate. And they don't forget that stuff.
Right.
See that, I don't do anything except just what I do.
No, the reason I want to, those of you who are listening to us, the reason I want to bring this up for a conversation is because when we had the clericus, gathering of the clergy in the southern deanery, several priests and clergy and deacons who were present there at the time asked me, how can we make this story of St. Alban's, for every one of us to hear? And I thought, well, I enjoy having this time with Cathy and enjoy hearing the stories. And I thought, well, this is the best way. And I thoroughly enjoy putting these stuff together myself. And so I thought I will put this together, make it available. So that's why we are sending this to people who are looking for, how small churches grow. And here is an example. And I think it's a wonderful thing. I think you are just going with the flow, listening to the Spirit.
Well, you just listen to the people who come. But they won't come. They won't come first of all for liturgy. They learn liturgy. They won't come first of all because you're Episcopalians. They have no idea what that means. They don't. It's a weird name. A church that's named for bishops. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
They don't come for that. They come for, at least none of these young people have come for any of that. They come for a place where they are welcome to bring their questions, their confusions, their conservatism that they're trying to outgrow. They want a place where we are clear that we are not conservative. I know that sounds weird, but right now you have to say that. Right. Or you have to say we are you have to say whatever you are.
Or you are, correct.
If you are a very conservative place, if you say that, then say that.
Yes.
But in our town, even the Methodists, even the disciples are sort of wannabe Baptists because that's That's who most people are.
Right.
So, I mean, our people are coming from SBU even, from the university, the Baptist University, because they don't agree anymore. They love scripture, they love their classes, but they don't agree that homosexuality is necessarily bad. They don't agree that abortion is always the worst choice. They don't agree that Donald Trump is somehow, anointed by God. They're not there, and so they need a place that will say, you are really welcome to be Democrats. It's really okay. It's really okay to say, and you will really find support in Scripture for those things, for that degree of trust and freedom of other people. They are not anti-immigration. They're just not. They're not what they're having to hear in most of the places where they go. And so when they discover, and I don't start out doing, I don't do this. I don't say, now we're going to talk about abortion because, and then go look for scripture. We don't do that. We say, what does scripture say about human possibility? What does scripture say about life? What does scripture say about women? And their ability to make decisions.
It's not the back door.
No, I don't do that stuff. I'm way too serious about scripture. I got my biblical education at the Nazarene Seminary after all in Kansas City, but I also lived in a Franciscan convent before that. So I really have great respect and great honor for those pieces of the tradition, and I'm an Episcopalian, not to push those two away, but to bring those two together. Because it's a place where I can be both. But scripture matters a lot to me, and it matters to start with scripture and to be serious about scripture, and that resonates with these young people. That resonates with young people. They want to know that you can, not just that you can, but that scripture is really richer than they thought, much richer than they thought. So for me, it's just fun. I mean, it's just fun.
Thank you for sharing the story, and I hope it's okay for me to share the story with the rest of the diocese.
It's okay with me.
Thank you.
You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it.
Thank you for listening to us, and it's a delight to have Mother Cathy, and I enjoy every minute, every time we have some conversations, and I'm excited for the growth and transformation of their community, and I have come to enjoy them. So thank you for being with me.
You're welcome.